All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to BowlerX first live. I guess you could call this a TV show. We're kind of going to make it like a TV show, right?
That's right.
We're going to do some pretty cool stuff here, and we've got a lot lined up for you today. And I know a lot of people have seen some of the posts that we were making about the controversial subjects. So I know a lot of people are waiting to hear about that. But first, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to my co-star here. We've got Lee Sant. Lee is the owner, operator of BowlerX.com, not only the website, but a physical address over in, that's Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, right?
That's correct.
There you go. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about that so we know what we're dealing with. I know a lot of people already know about you and everything that we do and everything that you do in the pro shop, but go ahead and tell everybody what you got going on there, when you started the website, all that good jazz.
Okay. Really quickly, I don't want to bore anybody with any details, but I started in the pro shop business. It's probably going back now, let's see, probably around 2004. So 16 years or so. Always been a bowler my whole life. My father introduced me to the sport. Fell in love with it, bowled junior programs for years. Went to the adult leagues, and I was always interested in how to get better. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. We all want to get better.
Right.
And I always felt like I had some really good ball drillers that I went to, but I always felt like, I want to know more about it. So I got all the information I could. I would print stuff off of the internet back then, which was, there wasn't that much out there, but there was a decent amount. Then I got my own mill, and I just started going at it myself. I learned by doing it and reading and trial and error, fitting hands. My friends came next after I practiced on myself. Friends came next. It just kind of went from there. Got my own pro shop back in, I think the first one was actually, it was around 04, 05, actually. That was when we actually went to the first physical location. And that was right around the time I started working on building a website. I felt like that was a logical move to make. It was really antiquated and nothing like it is now. And it never really got off the ground. Put it on the back shelf. About 2 years later, really delved back into creating it again. At that time, I had also had two shops going by that time. Things were doing well locally, and built a website, countless hours, late nights. You're talking thousands and thousands of products trying to keep up with. And to this, it's grown steadily for 8 years. I'm a firm believer in trying to do things maybe a little bit differently, marketing wise, trying to stay ahead of the curve. I don't like to try to follow what people are doing. I try to come up with new ideas, and I think it's helped us. Becoming involved then with the PWBA, that also was a big plus as well. So now here we are. Lately, this has been a great year. Coming into what's happening now, things were going very well. We brought on some new people, which actually including one of them being you. And we had a YouTube page that we had active for a couple of years. We had some guys locally that worked in the shop that were doing videos for us, ball videos, and it was going okay, not bad. And then he got involved in some other side projects. He's an entrepreneur himself, and he just wasn't able to do it anymore. We just let it go. I didn't have time to do it. There's so many things I want to do. I just can't get to it. Right. And that's when you got to find somebody that can help you with those things. That we brought you on board, and it's
found the right guy.
I know. Honestly, I've got no complaints. None at all. Honestly, we handed over the YouTube page, which was basically not doing anything, and you have really brought a lot of life to it with your videos, training, ball motion, unbiased views, which I think is really important. That's what I've always felt was always lacking. Most of the videos you see out there are done by staffers, or they're put out by the ball manufacturers themselves, and of course, it's going to come from that angle. Right. And you can't blame them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that really, but it's the same old thing, Right. And I've always thought someone needs to just be honest about what's really going on. Not every ball works great for everybody.
Oh no. And I think that's what's actually that's what works out really well is, you do have an array of staffers that are out there. You have an array of different companies that are out there. And they don't want to lose their contracts. Their job is to make those bowling balls look as good as possible, or products look as good as possible. And they can't really get on there and be like, I'm not so sure I like this one. It's going to be really tough for somebody to give an unbiased view. And that's why as soon as you and I had that conversation, I'm like, well, I guess I can't really keep my ball contract. That wouldn't be the right way to go about it. Because I'm all about anybody that knows me, anybody that's paid any attention to my personal page or my fan page. I'm fairly straightforward with things. I don't really hold things back when it comes to how I feel. And I honestly, I wish more people were like that, and Lee, you strike me as somebody that is like that. And I think that's why we click so well. I think we understand each other a little bit better than I've had with other previous, partners or employees or employers in the past. So I think it's kind of working out great how we've got things going. But real quick, let's try to, I know this is a brand new thing. Not a lot of people were really expecting this. We kind of put this together. One day we just kind of said, hey, let's throw together a live. We see everybody else doing these lives. And that was kind of your idea. So I guess you could walk us through what exactly brought this on. Why do we want to even be on here going live with people?
Good question. I've said this to a few people lately. Everyone's just doing a live show now. There's really limited things. It's very limited what we can do. And we have all this extra time now. A lot of the pro staffers are more available than ever. And so the manufacturers are obviously taking that time to be able to utilize them in ways that they haven't been able to do before. What gets me is, personally, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I get tired of hearing about ball motion. What's your favorite ball? What ball do you use to win? What ball did you use to win this event? To me, I get a little bit tired of hearing that. I would rather personally get to know the players a little bit better, personalities. And I think it's best for them too. I think we all recognize them as being outstanding talents on the tour, but what we don't know about them is the kind of people they are outside of that, and that's how you really create a connection with somebody. And I think, I'm not saying that the PBA or the PWA hasn't done a really good job at that or not, but I think it could be better. And I know with our staffers, we started the match game, which we've been showing. That was kind of an idea to just have an insight into what these people are like when you're just having a good time. Do you like that person's personality? Do you find what they find funny? Do you agree? Do you laugh the same things they laugh at? Do you have the same kind of sense of humor? It's neat to hear them talk about other players on the tour, candidly, things you don't normally hear. And so anyway, yeah, I think I kind of lost track of where I was going with this, but
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that that match game idea you had was perfect. It was brilliant. I had so much fun with that. I think the staff had so much fun with that. And speaking of staff, actually, I got a question here for you from Kenny Keaton. He says, how can we become a part of the BowlerX staff? That's a perfect question for you, because I honestly don't have a clue.
Sure. Kenny, and anyone else who's interested, we have a link on our website. If you go to bowlerx.com, on the left-hand side, you'll see under, I believe it says latest news, you'll see become a member of Team X or become a BowlerX staff member. Just click on the link. There's a short survey there to fill out, get some information, and send it in. I will tell you, be patient. We get tons of people that are filling that out, and we have a lot to go through. And I will be honest with you, I look at all of them myself. I personally look at every one. And I'm going to, when they come through, I check out the information that's on there. It does take a while. And because I try to do so many things myself, anyone that knows me knows I'm guilty of that.
You're a workhorse.
I get a little behind sometimes on staff applications. But I always tell everybody, some people get a little bit impatient. If a couple weeks goes by, 3-4 weeks, you don't hear anything, don't be afraid to send it in again. Just keep it coming up to the top, because as I said, we get a lot, and I will go for it.
Is there anything that stands out on a specific application? Like, what are you actually looking for out of somebody to become a staff member? I think that's more what people are kind of looking for is what are the key things you really want to see out of somebody to become a staff? Because it's obviously, you don't have to be a professional bowler. I mean, that's not
at all. No. It's tough because you're getting the applications coming from all across the United States. I don't know these people personally. I try to. I check up on their social media pages because that's all I can do. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to look at what you're posting. I'm going to look at.
Wait, hold on. Time out.
Yeah.
You didn't research me very well, then, did you?
We talked about that. I don't care. I don't care about that stuff. I mean, that's another subject.
To an extent. To an extent.
No, you're right. To an extent is right. Obviously, bowling credentials. We're looking at that. We're looking at if you're bowling tournaments, are you out there? Just pretty much what a manufacturer would look at. Are you active on social media? If you are on a staff with a company, I'm going to look. I'm going to look for the same things they would. Are you posting stuff about that manufacturer? Are you actually doing the job that they're asking of you? And granted, we're not a manufacturer. We're a much smaller company in that. We don't have the kind of sales that a major manufacturer would have, a ball company. So, they get their perks. So they're kind of giving you a little bit more. But granted, you're not going to get as much from us, but we really do care about our staffers a lot. Mm-hmm. We try to do a little extra anytime we can, and we support them as much as possible. And I think a lot of them get it and appreciate it. And personality is a big thing. I mean, it's so hard because, again, I can't meet these people. I can only, it's almost a first impression thing in a lot of cases. And you know what? I have to say, though, but for the most part, it's worked out really well. We've got some fantastic people on staff. I'm not talking about the pro staffers because they're fantastic. I love that. Those people, the pro staffers, I've gotten to know. The people that are represent us across the country as a Team X staffer, I'll never meet a lot of them.
Right.
But through social media and talking with them, they're fantastic. There's a lot of really great people out there.
Yeah,
and I appreciate all of them.
Yeah, I think I'll chime in on that just a little bit. I think when I was at Turbo, a lot of the things we looked at and a lot of the things that ball manufacturers technically look at is your influence. It's not so much, I don't really care. Nobody's really they're going to tell you, they don't really care how many 300 games or 800 games you have. It's honestly, do people like you? Do you have an influence on influencing people to go to bowlerx.com? Can you get people to buy their equipment or buy their stuff from online? Not saying that you need to take people away from the pro shop. I just think you can kind of spread it out a little bit. It's kind of one way to look at it. So when you're looking at like a ball manufacturer, when I was with EBI, one of the big things was, how do you manage your social media? How do you handle that type of stuff and get a product in people's hands more than the typical everyday person? So you can hear my kid in the background.
I think you've got an invader.
I got an invasion.
I see the door open.
Hopefully he's not too noisy. But I got another question here. And actually, speaking of the league bowlers, when we're talking about staffers and all that, one of them is Alan Gobert says, what do you see leagues being like when bowling opens back up? He says he's not crazy about 10 on the pair. And I'd honestly agree with that. I don't think I ever really liked 10 on the pair either. Especially like when I was in college bowling, it was awful because you were just in a cluster of people. And then you had all the people behind watching. And because I'm sure your leagues are all the same way. You get people that just come and just hang out and, they drink a few beers and just watch some bowling. And then you've got 10 on a pair at the same time. It's just kind of crazy. But now with this whole, this virus thing going on, I'm sure they're going to have to put in some restrictions. And, high fives are probably going to be non-existent, which I'll be a complete fan of. That'd be awesome.
Really? You don't like high fives?
I will give high fives if, somebody wants them, but I'm very, especially out on, PBA or regional tour, stuff like that.
That's different.
It is, in league, I guess, I do give high five to everybody because I want to make sure I appreciate them. But yeah, in tournaments and stuff like that, I'm not much of a high fiver.
Right. Tournaments make sense, but in league, I don't know. I'm a high fiver,
But what do you think? So what do you think it's going to be like? Are we going to have to wear masks? Are we going to have to, like, what's going to happen here?
God, I'm afraid to say I think yes, or at least for a while. I mean, it's hard to wrap my head around it, and I'm sure nobody can really say at this point what it's going to be like. I think we're going to have to watch as the restrictions get lifted and these places start opening up little by little, and see how they're going to handle it. I'm not really like like yourself. I know you're all on top of what's going on. I really don't. I don't really follow it. I'm not on the news all the time. No, good. Not
yeah, I'll leave that alone. I'll leave that on my channel.
Yeah, I'm sure we get a lot of questions about that too.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
No doubt.
But yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of the research and stuff, so I mean, you're right. I am on top of it, and I'm the data guy. I'm the stats guy. I'm looking at the numbers, the deaths that are coming through, and unfortunately, there are an awful lot that we've got to deal with right now. So, the government and the states have some big decisions to make over the next month or so on what's going to happen. Obviously, we all have our different opinions on what we think should happen, but what they do at the end of the day is all that's really going to matter. So if they tell us we have to wear masks, are we going to lose bowlers because we have to wear masks going to the bowling alley? I don't really know.
I'm not happy about it. I wouldn't be happy about it.
I don't know that I'm going to be able to do it. I don't think I could bowl with a mask on. And I'm going to be honest. If I go in and start doing ball reviews and the center starts telling me I got to wear a mask to do a ball review,
I hear you. I'm not happy about it either.
I'm looking for a different place that's not going to require me to wear a mask to do a ball review. I know that sounds selfish. I know that sounds bad, but I feel like I get anxious, man. I start getting that thing on my face. It makes me feel like claustrophobic almost. I can't deal with it.
Wearing my glasses, I got one of those ones that basically you use, if you're doing sanding and stuff like that. My glasses, as soon as I breathe, it just fogs them right up.
Yeah.
I'm like in the store, I got to walk around with my glasses off. It's so irritating. Yeah. I know it's like a little stupid thing, but
I mean, it is. And we're gonna have to deal with it for a little bit. We'll see what happens and see how they deal with it.
I don't know. I know what's gonna happen. Yeah. I'm afraid it's not gonna be the same.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
I'm kind of hoping that people are, roaring and ready to get back in there once they open it back up. I know a lot of people have been complaining and saying I just want to bowl. Like I just want to get back in there. And I don't blame them. Like I kind of want to too. I'm sitting back watching old shows and everything, and it's like I need to practice. So that's why I'm sitting back and trying to create new training tools for home, and which I'm sure. I mean, you and I have been talking about it quite a bit. Hopefully, we have a couple that we're working on that can become available at bowlerx.com. And speaking of bowlerx.com, Alan here says, "Will the X Live code work after the stream ends?"
Yes, it will. Matter of fact, it'll work right now.
It'll work right now. Okay. Well, Alan, head over over BowlerX right now, bowlerx.com, and you will get that code to work. Kevin says, is BowlerX based in Massachusetts?
Not yet.
Not yet. Actually, that's one of the topics. We're going to tease you a little bit. That's one of the topics we're talking about right now is we're looking at introducing some new spots, hopefully. Hopefully we can kind of open a couple of new BowlerX shops, possibly. Maybe even start looking into leading into the topic for a little bit later that we're going to talk about with layouts and all that. But hopefully we can start possibly creating our own type of a certification for pro shops that really want to learn how we do things. Lee, I know you're an expert in this stuff. You've been doing it for a long time. I've been doing it for a long time, and I've kind of used myself as a guinea pig when it comes to fit and doing all these different things. And with a lot of the training that I've done, the coaching that I've done, we're always constantly working on people's hands and changing their fit a lot. So got an awful lot of experience just based on, just doing it, just being involved with it, and you being in the shop over in Bethlehem. I mean, I imagine you guys are leading up to, the virus. You guys were pretty busy all the time up there. Yeah, I mean, I know you do a ton on BowlerX. I can only imagine what you do actually in the shop.
Yeah, we do pretty well. I mean, we're not in a huge metropolitan area, but we do very well where we are. I hate, you said expert. I hate that word expert because I just feel like, and I think something that we talked about before too, actually even today is I just feel like there's no right and wrong way really to measure a hand. I would say wrong way. But there's variables, and there's room for error in there. There's not errors maybe not the right. There's room in there. There's play. It shouldn't be rigid. So when someone comes off as they're an expert, I have an opinion, but I'm also open to other people's opinions.
Well, I'll tell you what an expert actually is. When an expert pro shop operator is somebody who is willing to look and listen to the actual customer and give them what is going to feel comfortable for them. Not necessarily what we believe would be best for them, but what they actually want and what is comfortable for them. So if you get somebody that's got like a Jacob Buttriff grip and he don't care and he thinks it's comfortable, as long as it's not hurting him, why would you ever change it if you're seeing success?
I agree.
You know, I mean, if you're not hindered, if you're not, if it doesn't stop you from doing the things that you want to be able to do with a bowling ball, you don't get blisters, you don't get sore, you don't get hung up, you don't have any problems, then that's not a wrong fit. Even if it looks funky, that's not a wrong fit. It doesn't matter. There is no, like, nobody could actually write a book right now and say, this is how a ball is supposed to fit.
Right.
Even though people claim that there are books, that they claim that there is a right way to do it. There's a right way to correct pains. There's a right way to correct issues with the hand. There is not a right way to actually originally get them set up, in my opinion. So I think it's customer to customer based. It's all different for everybody.
I agree. One of the first questions I usually ask somebody if I'm fitting them personally, and they're an experienced bowler, someone that's been bowling for a while. The first questions I ask is, are you having any issues with your grip at all? Is it comfortable? And especially if it's somebody I know, and I know they're successful on the lanes, I'm not one to sit there and I'm not going to be making some kind of changes to a grip unless they're having an issue. If they're already seeing success, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to recommend it. Put it that way. Unless they tell me they want me to remeasure them completely and see what I come up with, I'm totally open to doing that. But I would never say, we don't start with, okay, I'm going to change your grip. That's just, we don't go there. Right. You know, that's another little pet peeve of mine too. You mentioned about the expert thing, and you know, there's variances and there's really no right and wrong. You know, I was talking to my wife earlier about this. You get this in some shops. You'll walk in there and they will say, this isn't right. This isn't right. And that is, and then I've already heard this. They'll basically call out the other shop that did it. They already know. They either know where they went or they ask you where you went. And they'll say, well, this is right. You should never be done like this.
Right.
If you've got to go with that tactic, like if that's your game to say, to call out another shop and to work, I'm sorry. That is. We
see it all the time here in Detroit. It's unbelievable.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, just do your own thing. Respect other people's work. If you don't agree with it, just say, you know, I think maybe this could be done this way or that way. I'm not sure why they tried that, but I would try this, and that's it. You don't go. It's terrible.
Yeah, you can't be throwing people under the bus. That's for sure. I mean, everybody, and the thing you start to, especially when you've been in an area for a long time, you start to understand the tendencies that some of the shops have. A lot of shops have their quirks. They have their certain things that they like to see, and they almost try to build the same thing for everybody because they'll look doing that at certain times where I'm like, well, this seems to be it's worked the last 5 times I've tried it. I'm going to keep trying it, you know, and I don't have a specific example for that. But, you know, one thing I look at all the time when it comes to, you know, a lot of the people who come in for training, they come in for lessons is almost 99% of them come in with a circle thumb. And I always tell them, I'm like, this is your decision, but I think you could really improve your feel if you look into an oval. So I tell them, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up like this. Is your thumb round? And they'll say, well, no, of course not. Like, then why are you dealing with a round thumb hole? Like, because now let me guess, you took it into the pro shop and your hand swelled a little bit and you saw, then you had to open it up, and then they take the bevel sander in there. Now they open up the entire thing, and now it's too big front to back, but it fits good side to side. Now you got to jam a bunch of tape in there. You've just created an oval, and you don't even realize it. But now you got to do it with a bunch of tape. You should have just did it, you know, originally, and then you could make it fit properly. So that's just one of those. That is my pet peeve. That's that thing that I'm like, the ovals, man. Like it bugs me. It really bugs me. We hardly ever drill around thumb hole. We did have a question from Todd. Todd, I think it was Todd McGill, right? He's from Cincinnati. He runs the Bowl and Center down in Coleraine Bowl down. He runs a couple good tournaments down there. He's asking when, I believe it was Todd McGill. He said, when do you think you're going to do a big regional or a national event on the amateur level? I guess I don't think that Well, I don't know if that would be amateur level. If it was a big regional or national event, it would be the professional level. But when are you going to run a tournament? Do you think you'd ever run a tournament in your area? So I know you got Pure at Pro Shop, Jeff Smith. Is he near you? He runs a big event.
Pretty close. He's not too far. Yeah, he does have a big event. Yeah,
he's got his one event. Have you thought about putting anything together or hosting a PBA event in the center you're at? Is it big enough?
No. Honestly, I feel like it isn't. No. I've talked to the PWBA, and I have talked to the PBA about an event. We could do a regional event. It could be done, but a national stuff, that would not happen in our center. I have thought about, I definitely have considered this. It's gone through my mind about having a regional event in the area. The unfortunate part would be it would have to be held at a center where the shop is not, which is not really a big deal to me. I'm friends with pretty much almost all the people in the area. I have no problem with working with someone else in the area to do it. I just don't know. We used to do Bowler X tournament series. We held at our home center. We did that for a couple of years, and it was pretty successful. It was more geared towards the higher average guys, but again, it comes back to the same thing. So much going on, run out of time, new things come up, and it just couldn't keep it going. So, now it's got other things going on. But no, to answer that question, right now, no, I don't have anything planned.
Well, I mean, we did talk about possibly putting together a clinic of some sort. I can shoot over to Bethlehem. We could put something together out there, maybe do a big clinic, do multiple sessions, maybe a couple hours. Usually how I do them, just a couple hours at a time. You do an hour of class time, and then you do an hour on the lanes. You do them in about groups of 20. If you're helping me with it, or if your wife is helping me with it, we can get bigger groups in there, because I can only handle, generally I would do 10 in each group if it's just me. If it's I got 1 or 2 people helping, we can get 2 or 3 in there. We can get 20 or 30 people in each group, and we can run a couple of sessions. And they've been pretty successful. I've done a few out in Vegas. Each time I've gone out there, Phil Placco actually would set them up, and he'd have his kids go out there, and we'd do some private clinics and stuff like that. And I had meant to start a clinic series. I started putting it all together right before all this stuff hit, and it just, man, my boy. You hear him in the background?
Yeah, I hear him.
He's mad. He wants to come in here and sit with me, but can't do it. Can't do it.
Don't put him up to the mic. That
would be pretty loud. But yeah, we were setting up some clinics and stuff, and I haven't been able to do them. So hopefully we'll be able to get some stuff set up on the website. We'll start doing some booming on some clinics and stuff too. So on top of virtual lessons and all that stuff we've talked about. So which I guess we can plug that real quick here soon. We'll be going live with virtual lessons off of bowlerx.com, which possibly I could get you guys to help me with, but more than likely we're going to try to bring in some pros, see if we can't give them some small tips here, and then I'll be able to break down some video for you and do some lessons for you online. So got another question here in for you. We're going to roll right through it. Does Bowler X have a set rate for shipping to Canada or international shipping? He's in Windsor, just across, right next to me, actually. He's just about a half hour from me, just across the border from Detroit.
Andrew, I'll be honest with you. We get quite a few inquiries about shipping Canada, you name it, Australia, international shipping is kind of a bear for us. We do it. We do it all the time. We have no problem with it, but a set rate, no, not really. It varies. All I would say is contact us, send us an email. You can reach us at proshop@bowlerx.com. Let us know what you're looking for, what products, and then just give us your address. We'll get back to you within an hour, tops 2, with a rate, with a quote of what it would cost. And we do a lot of shipping to Canada, so we still do offer a discount on it, but it's just not a flat rate, or it's not something I can tell you. It's going to be $25, $30. Can't say that. Just got to know what you're looking at.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
It is. I wish I had a better answer for that, because there is a lot of international business that people that are interested in buying from us, and we do service them, but we could do more, I feel.
Well, we're getting an awful lot of comments that coming through the chat there that they appreciate what we're doing here with the training videos and all that. So for all of you who have commented, I really do appreciate that. We appreciate that. Thank you for the comments. We definitely love the positivity. Even when we see those negative comments come in, Positive outweighs the negative every single time, and that's why I do it. I love it. I absolutely love it. So going into the negativity, let's talk about the controversy. Let's get into the actual topic here. And I know there's a few people. I mean, I had Mo Pinnell and his boy Mickey chiming in on my post there a little bit earlier. They're going to be advocates for the layouts. They truly believe that the layouts are a big deal. And I'm going to tell you, I don't fully disagree. I think layouts are important in certain ways. But Lee, I'm going to let you lead into this. What we want to talk about is we want to talk about bowling ball layouts. And do you see a difference? If I'll give you an example. Do you see a difference if I were to give you a dual angle of like a 20 by 5 by let's call it 40? All right, and we do the same angles front to back, but then we do like a 4-inch pin instead of a 5-inch pin. Exact same layout, same ball. Do you think there's much of a difference in those two balls?
Personally, no, not enough. I mean, now I'm gonna talk as if I'm talking to a customer who comes in. The masses, really. We're not talking about professional level. I'm not going there with this. I'm talking about your league bowler. Even recreational, who just wants to get better, and someone like myself, honestly, that dabbles in also some competitive bowling. Not enough of a difference. I'm never going to split hairs like that on my equipment. I'm going to worry about picking the right ball to start with. I'm not going to make a 1-inch difference with my pin to pat and expect to see some kind of a major difference where all of a sudden I'm gonna whack this tournament or something. It's just not, to me, the way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, at least not in plain view, not in eyesight. I don't think anybody can really see that. If you're on Specto, or if you're actually doing testing and seeing the numbers in front of you, you'll see a little bit of a difference based on the numbers. But if you're actually eyeballing it, if you take a 5-inch pen and then like a 4-inch pen, I don't think you're going to see enough of a difference. I mean, if you do see a difference, it's going to be the matter of inches. And is that going to be enough? Getting a ball to read, 2 inches sooner can make the world and pin carry and all that stuff. So I think it can make a difference in that. But when I'm talking about layouts, like I've got people who will say, well, I drilled 3 of these balls and I drilled one at 3 and 3.5, and then I drilled one at 4, and then I drilled one at 4.25. And man, I see 15 inches difference on all of them. And I'm like, you're so full of crap. Like, you're so full of it. You don't see anything. Like, there's no way you're seeing any difference in that. Now, if you had, in my opinion, again, this is mostly opinion stuff because, obviously we don't have data right in front of us to be able to prove anything, as far as this goes. But if you take like a Max Flare 3 3/8 inch layout, and then you go to like a 6-inch pin, well, now, of course you're going to see a difference. Now you're completely shifting the core. But by shifting the core, just those, even just a less than an inch, how are you going to see much of a difference? I mean, you'll make it flare a pinch more or less, whichever way you go about it. But this is one of those things where you're going to have different opinions on it. And if I have somebody that comes into the shop and they're like, man, so this ball's laid out 30 by 4.5 by 50, and it just doesn't quite hook enough for me, what am I going to do different? Like you can't look at them and say, oh, well, I can just put a stronger layout on it, because a stronger layout on it isn't going to visually give you that difference. The only thing that's going to visually give you the difference is changing the surface, right? Because that's what's actually touching the lane. The biggest thing in bowling is the surface of the bowling ball, the actual cover stock of the bowling ball. So it's what actually touches the lane. And I know there's an awful lot of manufacturers out there, and there's an awful lot of industry people who are really, really big into these cores and really big into. But I mean, and I could be wrong, but I'm looking at these cores and I'm like, man, they really have. How much have they changed over the last? And I know there's numbers that are way over my head. I know they know the details in these things by the physics of them. All the dynamics of these cores so much better than I do, because they've designed them. They've done all these things. But like, honestly, when I look at a core from 10 years ago compared to now, what is really different about them that's making them that much different? The difference I've seen has come in the cover stocks. The way they've changed the reactive cover stocks from back in the day, even the way they've changed the urethane cover stocks from back in the day. That's why there's that big controversy with the urethane. You see that new study that just came out? USBC finally came out and they showed their new study, and they changed the rules based on everything because the new urethane, whatever it is, the molecular layout, whatever they're using in that urethane today is completely different than back in the day. Like you can take an old blue hammer back when you were a kid, so like 70 years ago, you can take an old blue hammer. Sorry, that was a bad joke. You can take an old blue hammer.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, you could take an old blue hammer up against one of the newer, like say black hammer or blue hammer or whatever. And I granted, you can tell there's just a huge difference in the way they react. They're just a completely different type of bowling ball, even though they claim, it's still a urethane, it's still pure urethane, but the makeup of them are completely different than what they were back in the day. And I think now they're showing that, they absorb, or maybe they don't absorb oil, but the oil or whatever is causing them to get a little bit softer over time as they're being used. So they're seeing more and more friction. And as you know, obviously, the softer a cover stock gets, it's just like a snow tire. You start to let a little air out of a snow tire, and it sees more friction. It sees a little bit more of the tire actually hits the ground, just like bowling ball. It gets a little bit softer, a little bit more bowling ball touches the lane. You're going to see a little bit more reaction, a little bit earlier reaction, a little bit overall more reaction. So, but as far as the layouts go, I think I'm on board with you. I think it's you get somebody that walks in with a 4-inch layout. What are you really going to do other than change the surface?
I think there's just too much over analysis when it comes to the layouts, and I'm not saying they're not important. I'm not saying it's not a factor. It is, but like you said, choosing the right ball is number one, and that's my job in the shop, is to try to get the customer into the proper ball to start with. If I don't do that right, the guy wants the ball to go long and have more of a flip motion to it, which is what you get most of the time. Most customers will say, I want the ball go down lane. I want it to really, kick on the back end. Mm-hmm. They don't really, there's a lot of things that go involved in this. And I could go in a lot of different ways with it, because first of all, you have to be able to see the guy ball, because if someone's going to give you or woman ball, I should say, and someone's going to give you a description of how they bowl, and it probably isn't really as accurate. You need to see them. So, but anyway, they want a ball to go long. They want it to kick on the back end. And, they go to the wall and maybe they saw on TV that week, somebody won with the pitch black, and they don't know. I don't know. They go, with this, I'm interested in this. I'm like, no, not at all. Like sometimes people have already preconceived notions of what they already want, and it's tough to talk them completely out of something, but you need to at least educate them.
Right.
That's another thing. But anyway, get back to the layouts and stuff. I've kind of got a little track there, but another thing is, the reason I think it's overemphasized is repeatability too. I mean, okay, if you're going to put it with Throwbot and you're going to watch a couple balls go down the lane, okay, yeah, you might see something, but I'll bet you anything that you watched a video where they had 2 different layouts on a ball and they rolled it, and you watch, and whoever's giving the commentating is saying, now you could see how that ball picked up earlier in the mid lane and went through the pins, and I'm looking at it and I'm going like this.
Where? How?
Really see that? I mean, you're saying it, but I'm not really saying it. Okay, maybe. But anyway, now you're talking about, that's Throwbot. Okay, now you're getting the real world. Now we're in league, or we're in a tournament, or wherever we're, bowling. How many times do you think, this is myself included, how many times do you think you throw the ball the exact same speed with the exact same amount of rotation and loft it the exact same amount, or put it down the lane the exact same? How many times do you think you do that?
Every time. Every single time.
So, again, you're overanalyzing when you want to talk about a layout. Granted, there's a window of success where, you have a customer maybe has more of a spin release, and you want to get the ball to kind of get out of that phase a little bit more quickly. You're going to use a layout it's more geared towards that. There are reasons to put the pins in certain positions, but when you're splitting hairs with it, I think you're looking at the wrong thing. You got to it's time to look at a different surface,
right?
Not a layout.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do get confused. When you've got certain people who are saying, "Oh, layout is super, super important," it can be, because I've seen bowling balls where, you put the wrong layout on and it rolls like, doggy doo-doo. And say it was like a 3 3/8 inch layout, it over flares and it comes all the way back around and hits the ring finger on the backside, and it just looks like it goes basically straight because it's using up so much energy. Now, you go and you take a 5-inch pen, you change it to a 5-inch pen. I mean, yeah, then you could actually see a difference because now you're talking a big enough change. But I think that specific example I used with that 4 to 4.5, there's not enough room one way or another, because if you go from 4.5 to 6, you're basically making it go straight for the most part, depending on the type of player they are. And if you bring it back into like a 3 3/8, you're only going to make it flare a little bit more. I know the gurus will say, oh, it'll flare a bunch more, but I never see it. Like, I've tried. I've done it for myself. I've tried to put these specific recommended layouts on bowling balls, and they're never even close.
How many times do you get a person that, or yourself, myself included, that you just find a ball that almost doesn't mean no matter what layout you put on it, it rolls well for you?
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. I mean,
right?
People.
And how many times? Yep. How many times do you see a guy in your local area who one Sunday is bowling at one center in a tournament on a 43-foot pattern? The next weekend he's bowling in another tournament that you're at in a different center, and it's on a 38-foot pattern, and he's using the same ball and he's kicking your butt. How many times have you seen that? Mm-hmm. So what does that mean? That how important is layout? He's using the same ball on 2 completely different patterns. Maybe he just knows how to bowl. Maybe he's reading the lane properly. Maybe he's in the right part of the lane. There's
so much to matching up. I mean,
exactly.
If his ball roll matches up in that building, and that's one of the biggest complaints out on tour is, when the World Series goes to a specific place, if you don't match up in that building, if your ball roll isn't proper in that building, because all the patterns play similar, they'll tell you. I mean, they all pretty much break down the same way, no matter, even though they're all different distances, they're all different lengths, they're all different volumes. They all break down pretty much the same way. And if you can't match up in that specific center for that week, you're going to have a rough week. It doesn't matter how many balls you drill, you're going to have a rough week. So it's the way it is. And everybody's got that one center. They're like, I'm gonna skip that tournament because I never strike there. I can't figure that place out. Doesn't matter, the pattern's different. You just can't figure it out. And it's all about matching up. And layouts is a part of that. It's, in my opinion, it's a small part of it. I do think that the cover stock is, the big factor in the whole thing. But it's a discussion that could go on forever, honestly, because there's so many different variables. There's so many different things that change and manipulate ball reaction that it's tough to really know.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of questions are coming in with that, or if there are any, but I'm just curious, about what other pro shop guys think about that.
There was a pin up, pin down, but yeah, there you go. Yeah, what's the main difference in ball reaction with pin up and pin down? What do you think on that?
Well,
that's that illusion. That's that. Oh, we want to try. In my opinion, I think a lot of
answer. Yeah. The real simple answer that you're going to get, and really is, if you're just trying to increase the amount, to shorten the amount of time that the ball goes through the skid, hook, roll phase, you're trying to decrease it. You're generally going to drill the pin down. But I've seen if you drill a ball pin up, it depends. Number one, on the person's axis point. You got to find out how they roll the ball. So a pin down for one person might act completely different than a pin down for another person. So it's very generalized. It's hard to really answer that question accurately. If I saw you bowl and I knew your measurements, your axis point, I could tell you what the difference would be for you. But again, I don't like answering like generality questions like that, because some people will just tell you, oh, this is what it is. This is how it is. Well,
but it's not. It's not, though, because it's just like you said. It depends on the person's axis. Like mine, I'm 4.5 over and an inch up. Yeah. So what is pin up for me is pin down for somebody that's 4.5 over and a 1/4 inch down.
Yeah.
So even though we put the exact same layout, they look pin up and pin down, but they're pretty much going to be, similar as far as layout goes. So it really depends on the person and what kind of axis they have and all that good jazz. I mean, there's no general answer. The general answer they always said was, well, if it's pin up, then it's going to go longer and it's going to snap harder. If it's pin down, it's going to roll a little bit earlier.
Right.
That's not always true.
No,
I've had quite a few pin down bowling balls, technically pin down bowling balls that, are much cleaner and much stronger down lane.
Yep,
so it just all really depends.
It does.
Cover stock.
Again, you find something that works well for you. I tend to like to stick with. I see a question up here, right?
Oh, yeah. How many different layouts do you use? I have two.
Yeah.
one pin above and one pin below the bridge. Yeah, I mean that's
leads into what I was saying. I like to keep it simple. You know, I personally don't use a whole lot of different layouts. Occasionally, I'll try to maybe experiment with something, but I try to keep it simple. Hey, if it rolls well, I see a motion I like. I'm just going to use it on different chords and covers. That's it. I'm just going to mix that. I'm not going to change the layouts. But however, that being said, I've already rolled balls with layouts on there that are ridiculous. I mean, I've used a friend of mine. I'm left-handed. I have a friend of mine, right-handed, go to league one night. I just wanted to experiment. I used his ball. Pin, obviously, completely. I don't even know what it would have been for me, to be honest with you. I never measured. It had to be at least 6, if not more. It had a weight hole in it. So I'm basically I'm flaring around the weight hole on his ball, like just over it, past it. Rolled great. Went through the pins. I had 700, you know, great night. So what does that mean? I mean, again, I think sometimes, you know, it's a little overrated because sometimes you just don't know you're going to put in somebody's hands in that particular moment, the way they're going to throw it, the way the lanes are going to play. And there's no exact answer on it. Yes, right. You can put it into a window, but you're not going to be able to get it to that.
Right.
Unless, again, you're going out on tour. You're in it's different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think the last little touch on here is what was it? Man, I had it in my head and I was going to touch on it a little bit there, but I forgot what it was. But anyway, so we've got another one here from TMT Bowling, Todd McGill tournament. So I told you he runs some tournaments there. So he's all over here. He says, better question, which ball hooks more? Same ball, pin up or pin down? What do you think? Same question.
I say the same, just different part of the lane.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you're just changing the transition of the roll. That's it.
But if you if you got high ball speed and you drill it weaker, if low flare or, you know, I mean, granted, you might not see a hook. I mean, if you go really radical with it, drill a really, really long pin. Yeah, you might not see a hook at all.
Yeah.
So then I would say pin down.
Yeah. Technically.
I mean,
do you believe there are any bad bowling balls? There's a right or wrong answer here.
I don't think so.
No, there's not. There's no such thing as a bad ball. There's just bowling balls are meant for different things. And you'll hear me say it in videos an awful lot. You know, I'll talk about a ball that, you know, maybe it doesn't allow me to keep moving my feet left and go around the lane like some of the other balls do. But, you know, so it's really good playing straighter. So if you really like to play further left and go around the lane, you might say there's a bad ball, but I wouldn't say so. I would say it's just a ball that likes to play a certain part of the lane a little bit better than another. You know, it sees a different ball reaction. So one of the things I was going to actually touch on was one of the subjects that everybody always talked about in the pro shop was the weight holes. You know, and here's one thing I really do believe Mo and I are on the same page with this, is I do think that the weight hole thing is going to cause, you know, pro shops to actually really step up their game. Because here's what used to happen, and I've talked about this in a video before, but what pro shops really were good at doing was getting too generic and just taking and not looking at people's positive access points, not looking at any of the numbers that they need, and just taking a bowling ball that somebody brings in or somebody buys and just throwing the pin right up above the ring, CG in the palm, or right, you know, just right of the palm. With if it has a mass bias, then it's, you know, just, you know, right next to the thumb hole. And they would do that for everybody. And then here's how they'd handle it. If that person you drilled it for comes in and they say, well, I just don't like this thing, you know, it's hooking too much. Well, then they had the option of just putting a weight hole in the ball, and they could put it, you know, up on their VAL on their vertical axis line, and they could go up a couple of inches on that, and they could reduce the flare just a little bit and make the ball hook less. Or vice versa. This ball doesn't hook enough. They could just put a hole in it down on their VAL and make it flare a little bit more. They don't have that option anymore. So it's going to make them actually have to pay a little bit more attention to what the customer actually is doing, how they actually throw the ball. And they're going to have to really, you know, a lot of bad pro shops are going to have to become good pro shops. I hate to say that, but you just have to learn.
Start. It should be that way from the start. This shouldn't be something. I honestly, I don't think this is going to change it. They're just going to continue to do what they did. If you ask me, I don't really see. I mean, if you don't watch a person bowl, and
they're going to continue to do it, but they're going to lose customers.
Yeah, I just don't see it. But I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I just feel like some people aren't going to go that extra mile to learn something new, and use it to their advantage. You're going to continue to do it that same way.
Well, and that's kind of why I started to do a series of videos, talking about pro shop techniques. I'll kind of run people through a little bit on how I do certain things, just because I know there are an awful lot of new pro shops out there that are looking to learn those types of things. They're trying to figure out either A, if they can open a pro shop, or maybe they did just open a pro shop and they're trying to get a little bit better at it, or B, they want to be able to drill their own stuff someday. So I think that's one of those things where we can kind of step in and help there over time eventually if we work. Because I know I get asked a lot, do you teach drilling? Do you have any certification classes? Do you do any of that type of stuff? So I think over time, eventually we could definitely put something together and possibly, move in that direction. I know IPSIA is kind of, in that role right now. They're trying to do some training and do all that kind of stuff. I wish I would just see a little bit more out of them. I think they were on the right path. I just don't see enough out of what they're trying to do. Or maybe I just don't see it because I'm not looking for it. I'm not sure. So if anybody's got any info on that, send it our way so I can kind of look at it. But I've been to the website. I've kind of looked at some things, and I just don't see enough of, like you go to a golf pro shop. They're all PGA golf shops. Like there's certifications you actually have to go through to even run a golf pro shop. You don't. And if you see some rinky-dink shop, is anybody really going to some rinky-dink at-home little shop to get golf clubs? No. I'm pretty much going to go to where I need to go to actually get a set of clubs. And it should be the same way for bowling. Like each pro shop should actually have to go through this, again, just my opinion, but they should have to go through some type of certification to be able to say, look, I'm a professional in this. I know how to do this. I've been trained in this, so there should be something there that says,
I think it'd be very helpful.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
I'm a PBA bowler X pro shop. I've been trained by the best,
Yeah. I think there's a value.
Yeah.
There's a value in that. I see it the other way too. Coming from where I came from, I learned by doing myself. Did I take a course? Yes, I did. I went down to Kegel. I took a pro shop training course, but that was really, for me personally, it was almost like a validation. When I left, I almost felt like, you know what? I already had learned that. It was almost like just validating what I was already doing. So I think you can learn to do things very well without taking a course, let's say, or being a member of IPSIA or having that certificate on your wall. I don't think having a certificate on the wall says that you're a good pro shop either.
Right.
Anybody can do that. Some people are good at listening and learning and putting it to use, and some just aren't. But yes, going back to you said, there's a value in it. You can teach people, and they want to learn it, and they want to soak it in. If that's something that we could provide down the road, there's a big value in that. The better ball drillers we have out there, the more successful bowlers there are, people enjoying the game more. So it's very important. But I don't think you have to have a piece of paper to be an excellent ball driller.
Right. Yeah. And on that note, I think hinting towards opening other shops and stuff like that. That is one of the things I've hinted towards on my Facebook page, my fan page, and all that is, I want to open a training center. I want to have a private training center, and I think this is a perfect opportunity with the virus and everything going around. I think it may be a situation where maybe people don't want to go into these crowded bowling centers and they want to go into a more intimate, smaller training center to get their practice and do all that type of stuff in. So we are on the lookout for opening a training center in the Detroit area, and we're going to try and see if we can't put something together and turn it into a Bowler X shop and see if we can't, service the Detroit area a little bit and possibly look into some other areas as well. So be on the lookout for that. I can't promise anything. Obviously, Lee can't promise anything, but we're definitely looking into it. We're definitely going to try to put something together and see if we can't to grow this thing just a little bit more. Because I know a lot of people appreciate the information we put out. I know they appreciate the service that Lee does over in Bethlehem. So why not spread it out just a little bit more and give that service to people across the nation? Because I think people deserve it. I think bowlers deserve to have pro shop operators and people that really enjoy doing good work. And I work, Mason over at MRB Classic Pro Shop, at the shop that I do all my work out of right now. And Mason, he's another one. I'd love to get him on board with us and get him to, to help out with this whole thing, because he's such a brainiac, man. He's so smart. He loves the game. He loves people. He loves to just make people better. He's like me. He wants to see people get better. And it's just, that's what it's all about. It's not about making that dollar. It's not about making money. I mean, it is, but that's not the number one priority. It's mostly about just giving back to the sport, giving back to the game, doing the things that people need to be able to see improvement in the game and to be able to enjoy and love this game for a long time. And I know you're into that as well. But we're all going to wrap this up. I know we're going to take this final question here and we're going to wrap up. We've only got a couple of minutes left. But Andrew says, on a solid or pearl cover stock, what would you look for when deciding what VAL angle to put on it? Do you go higher or lower on a solid cover stock or pearl, or stay neutral around 45?
It's one of those questions again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it depends on the bowler. I don't think it depends so much on the cover stock per se. It depends on the bowler and his stats and the way he rolls the ball, or she. So I'll tell you what, Andrew, send me your information. Send it to Pro Shop at BowlerX. If you have a video of yourself bowling, or send it to JR, either one. We'll take a look at it, and then could give you some information on what we think, our opinion would be a good dual angle layout. If you're having some troubles, especially, maybe we can help you out.
Yeah, for sure. I think you could just go and kind of, look at some of the past videos that we've done too, talking about dual angles and all that. Kind of get some info on, what those dual angles are meant to do. And if ours aren't good enough, make sure, Mo puts out some good ones too. You can go see Mo's videos. I mean, there's all kinds of people that put out, dual angle and actually layout videos and stuff like that. There's an awful lot of people who believe in the big changes and layouts a little bit more than we do, but I'm not against it for sure. I think we can help, even if it's just a little minute thing here or there. If you think it's going to help you, obviously we're not against trying to help you in that way. So if that's something you want to do, that's completely up to you. You can definitely hit us up at proshop@bowlerx.com, or you can email me at jr@bowlerx.com, and we'll definitely get you taken care of one way or another. But that's going to wrap it up. We're gonna shut this thing down for the first night. I had a lot of fun. I think this was pretty cool. And Lee, I appreciate you coming on. I look forward to doing this every single week.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm not going to be honest with you. I'm not much of a camera kind of guy. People that know
either. I hate it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're like a natural. But me myself, it's gotta say I'm probably a little bit nervous coming on. But yeah, I am looking forward to it. Doing some more, and I think we're going to bring on some. Although next week we'll probably have a special guest too. Maybe we'll spend like 15 minutes or so. Maybe bring in somebody industry related, somebody that everybody would know. We'll ask them some questions. We can open up the floor to them, and then we'll have some new topics to talk about as well.
Absolutely, I think that's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to it. Make sure to head over to Facebook. Check us out on Facebook at bowlerx.com. You can see and like and subscribe to all of our pages at YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. Make sure you head over to Twitter, and we're going to be doing this every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. So you're going to be seeing new topics, new people. Me and Lee will be here every single time, but we will be, like he said, you're going to be bringing in some new people every single week, and hopefully nobody tells us no.
Well, if they say no, we can't.
We won't tell people if they say no. We won't even bring them up. But that's all we got for you guys. I'm J.R. Raymond with BowlerX.com. Lee Sant over here, owner, operator of BowlerX.com. Appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks again. And until next time, we will see y'all later. Take care.